Okay. Good morning. Welcome to the Crow Wing County Board meeting. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda is recognition of our retiring employee. Kara? Okay.
Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
Gina Heyer with Crow Wing County Community Services Public Health. And beside me here, I have Paula Armagast. Paula has been with us for 25 years. She's given the citizens of Crow Wing County a dedicated career of service. We thank her for that, for her compassion, for her caring, and for the joy and smiles that she has brought to the faces of those she serves. Thank you, Paula. Yours is a career which should truly be celebrated.
Thank you.
Paula?
25 years, and 2 months ago, I changed my life completely when I took my job here at Crow Wing County. I've loved even the struggling aspects of what we do, but I am going to walk away just feeling so grateful for all of the experiences I've given and the clients that I've worked with, the families that I've gotten to know. It's just really defined me, and I think it's going to shape wherever I go next. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. We don't know what we're doing. I apologize.
Thank you so much for your service and congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we should go. Yeah, let's go.
Would you like to get a picture with the board?
Oh, boy. Okie dokie.
I'm going to go around. Okay.
This is a social worker that took care of my mother-in-law when she was double amputee, took her through the end of her life. Excellent social worker, very devoted, compassionate, and worked tirelessly for the benefits that my mother-in-law received at that time, who came from a very poor background and didn't have really two nickels to rub together in her life. So I just want to acknowledge her who she is. Just a wonderful person. So
Thank you, Steve. Your family was wonderful to work with.
well, my wife. You never know.
All right, you guys ready?
Yes.
Right here. One more. All right.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. You guys could hang around, we'll have a full audience.
Okay, next on the agenda is open forum.
Madam Chair, can I call the roll, please?
Oh, sure.
Oh, I'd love to.
You better put that on here.
Commissioner Coring,
Here.
Commissioner Lubke,
Here.
Commissioner Barrows.
Here.
Commissioner Franzine,
Here.
Commissioner Hoag.
Here.
All members are present.
Okay.
And I do have an open forum, I just didn't get it to you yet, sorry. Or did I?
We do have a public meeting at 9:05, right?
9:05. Okay, I'm in, Troy.
That's De Kaiser.
De Kaiser.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, anyway, good morning.
Good morning.
I live on the corner, or I live at 21381 County Road 30, which is on the intersection of Highway 6 and 30. And 5-6 weeks ago, there was a terrible accident there. And all I know is that I think somebody ran the stop sign, and it was not good. So about 2.5 weeks ago, I'm coming home from work Thursday afternoon, and I noticed they cut rumble strips in front of my house. Now, they're not like the little rumble strips we have on the side of the highway or in the center line. They're deep and loud. So I would just like to bring it up to the board. Maybe we can come to some conclusion as to quiet them down or fill them back in. I've been working with Mr. Hoag over it, and I did go throughout the neighborhood and get signatures. I'm not the only one that's hearing these rumble strips. And there's 2 sets of them at my house, and one is like right at my bedroom window. So I was telling Mr. Hoag, my quiet time is probably 11 p.m. to 4 a.m. Other than that, I don't need an alarm clock. So I would just like to bring it up to the board that they are obnoxious. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tim, would you like to address that? This is our county engineer.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I do have a graphic for you. We can show the intersection, if that's helpful.
Yes.
I guess Teresa has it. Mr. DeKaiser, thank you for coming today. And we have heard about this since Commissioner Hoag's been in contact with me since the first call for Mr. DeKaiser. And I guess I want to first say that to reiterate things I've said before here is that, in our business as transportation officials, we try to be proactive. And we really try to be out in front of these crashes. It is true, October 16th of this year, there was a severe crash there, and by all accounts, the people involved were lucky to walk away. I believe at least one was airlifted away. And so when we can't be proactive, sometimes we're reactive, and that's exactly what happened here. And when you're reactive, sometimes you don't fully comprehend the trade-offs or the unintended consequences. And so when we decided to put the rumble strips there after some consultation with other professionals at MnDOT, because the road that angles like this is Highway 6, State Highway 6, there was a recommendation to put these because it sounded like, and I think the investigation is still going on exactly what happened, but it looked like somebody had run the stop sign going east and west. Actually, I think it was going westerly on this picture. And so, yes, we did put them in. Yes, there are unintended consequences for Mr. DeKaiser and some of his neighbors. And I guess the question is it worth the trade-off? The inconvenience to the neighborhood, to Mr. DeKaiser, which is the rumble strips are very close to his home, and the public safety and the reaction that we had to improve public safety. So the rumble strips for stop signs are the deep kind. They are different than the ones on the side of the road or in the middle of the road that are a little less intrusive. These are intended to wake you up, and they do so. And they're also waking up Mr. DeKaiser. And so I'm looking for any direction. We've never filled any in. I don't know exactly what that looks like. If we are directed to do that, I do stand by their need, but I also understand that there is a trade-off that we must consider. And so I'm looking for really any direction from you if you wish to give it. We may have limited resources to be able to do anything with the cold temperatures that are out there. We'll have to look to see what's available to our staff, if that is your direction for me to mitigate them, fill them in. So I'm not sure exactly what we'll do.
Keep working with you.
Pardon?
I think Tim should keep working with you.
Yeah, and I will say, I know that we, I believe, just recently signed an agreement with MnDOT for intersection improvements for this, as well as the one north of the river on Levin, I believe.
Yes, at the last board meeting, you directed me and authorized me to send a letter of support for future projects at this intersection, and then also initially it was for the one north of the bridge, this is
Right.
to the south.
Yeah.
Those are years away.
Yeah, I believe 2829 is the budget for MnDOT.
Currently.
We can continue, and I know that you do these for the safety of, the people traveling these roads, but in this case, I guess I would never thought I'd say that we should remove them and then research other potential options that may help in this case. The east and west traffic, as far as, I think there's a flashing light there is there not, on the west side?
There is an intersection control system, it's called a RCWIS, a rural intersection conflict warning system, that flashes when, at both the state highway traffic and then the County Road 30 traffic as vehicles approach. That is in place. I can't speak to how effective it is. In this particular case, it looks like this last crash, it didn't help prevent that.
Okay.
There are other things that we've done at intersections, blinking stop signs and things like that.
Yeah.
We've had people run those also, even though they are in place, so.
Well, I would just say that, I know the intent was right, but if we're interrupting, somebody's lives because of the rumble strips, and it seems like, I've been out there, it seems like every dang car that goes by hits the rumble strips. I don't know why, because it's not intended to be the lane of traffic where these things are installed, but if you could research what our options are as far as the removal of those, and then
Okay.
maybe step 2, I would suggest that we look for maybe the flashing lights. I know those are sometimes issues as well, but maybe a couple options that would replace or take the place of rumble strips.
Madam Chair, if I might, Tim, is this an intersection where we have a lot of conflict?
It has risen recently. Of course, this is a serious crash, and I do. Therese, will you bring up that next slide, please? I anticipated this question. I anticipated Mr. DeKaiser coming. Here is a very high-level summary of the crashes that have happened over the last 10 years there. If you look at the one to the north, there was a fatality there, and that's the one that we're talking about the most with MnDOT. But we've extended the conversation, certainly after the most recent serious crash. The one on the bottom does not include the serious crash that happened, 2-vehicle crash that happened in October. So it did not, the southerly one is the one we're talking about here, does not include a fatality, but very close in October, I can tell you. And so a serious injury there prior to this, and then minor injury, and then possible injury. Now, when this happens, MnDOT takes notice. This is on the trunk highway. And we had actually, immediately after the crash, somebody from MnDOT reached out, the traffic engineer, and pointed out that there was starting to have a history over the last 10 years, maybe a little bit higher than normal, even though it's 5 or 6, maybe 9 crashes there. It's higher than normal for the traffic volumes that are there. And part of our conversation was a recommendation because some of the crashes are related to not yielding for the stop signs. You can see that in the data, to put in rumble strips. So there is a crash history. It's a little bit above what we would expect for an intersection with volumes that it is experiencing. if you compare it to another one that's similar.
Madam Chair. Tim, was that crash, was that an eastbound or westbound vehicle? Do you know when that hit that intersection?
Westbound.
It was westbound, and and I don't know what time of day, but I've traveled that road when I had business over in Aiken, and when the sun would be setting, you wouldn't see a stop sign there at certain times of the year because of where the sun sets. And so I would think the flashing, I mean, the rumble strip is great, but again, it's the rumble strip, not a mumble strip. I think they used to talk about the two different types. I think that stop sign, those high intense LEDs, might be able to shine through some of that glare that you get from the sun setting, because I know at certain times of year that was always a tough road to come across at the evening, when the sun was setting. So, but I pretty much concur with Commissioner Hoag.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
I guess I'll just weigh in. I'm going to defer to Commissioner Hoag's district, so I guess I'll defer to him. But if it was my district, I think of County Road 2 and State Highway 25. We did put in flashing light there and the deep rumble strips. And there's somebody that lives right on the corner there. And I think our job as county commissioners and as the highway department is the public safety on roads. I just was sitting here thinking about it. I think about the trains that go through town and the whistles that blow and the people that live close to the tracks. I think you get used to it after a while. I just think it's important to have these rumble strips there, but I'm going to defer to whatever decision Commissioner Hoag feels best for his constituents. But if it was me, I'd say leave them in there. It's a public safety issue. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can I just clarify? So these stop signs will be located in the blinking stop signs. Am I hearing to fill in the rumble strips, find a way to remove those, and then replace them with something else, including blinking stopping signs?
That would be my
Okay.
preference, yeah.
So MnDOT will not pay for them. Then typically because it's in their right of way, they would be responsible for a portion of the cost. In this particular case, they're probably not going to pay. So you're authorizing me also to pay the full cost of blinking stop signs.
Any ballpark?
I say five, probably depending on if we have power on that side and things like that. 5,000 each, maybe, if it's solar. They're getting expensive. And the system might include another stop sign on the other side, which may or may not be blinking as well.
I would support that, Tim, if the others.
Madam Chair, I'm just curious, Tim, when it comes to MnDOT, and we have a lot of roads that run east and west along Highway 6, county roads. Are they requiring us to do that at every one of those? Has that been a discussion, that we put in rumble strips at every one of those, or some more enhanced traffic control?
No, not at those. We have been in discussion with the one north of the bridge at Highway 11
Yep.
that similarly goes straight across. Those are two in Crow Wing County that are on their radar screen as well as ours. We just installed a roundabout in Crosby, and although it's quite far away from this intersection, I believe it may be contributing to changing the traffic patterns. When we were using the detours up there, I think a lot of people discovered the back way to Cross Lake and whatever through this intersection. There's a lot of people turning there now. That I think there's something there. So we'll use this as a springboard to ramp up our efforts to find something before 2029, hopefully at these two intersections.
Here's my concern, is that we're doing these mitigation things to try to get people's attention. But it would appear to me that this potentially was an inattentive driver. And I don't know that we can find our way out of people that don't pay attention. And I watch, just in my neighborhood, there's 2 stop signs that people run every day. I can sit there and count them. And they choose to do it there, but on this highway, you know Highway 6 is coming. There's plenty of signage prior to getting to that intersection that indicates that there's a major highway there, state of Minnesota signs. So I don't know that we can put up all the signage we want and we can cut all the deep grooves in the roadway, but I don't know that that's going to get us out of inattentive drivers. And if you're going 55, 60 miles an hour and you get too close to that intersection, there's going to be a problem. But I think that's part of life. And so I just get concerned about thinking that we're going to stop that type of driver out on the highway. And
Right.
whether the sun's in your eyes or not, if the sun's in your eyes, you should be driving a little more cautiously, I would think.
Right.
That would be my opinion, but But
We're
I'll
looking
defer
at
also
we are looking at higher end fixes. The letter you authorized me to send to MnDOT with support for federal money to have an intersection improvement, including up to roundabouts and things like that. So we'll see where that goes. We're talking about the interim, and
Right.
we can research these things that provide Mr. DeKaiser and his family some relief, and hopefully still have some mitigating effect on maybe what happened most recently.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
Tim, do you think that you've received direction, or do you want a vote?
I feel I have direction, but, I mean, to authorize me to spend the money, you can pass something if you'd like, and that'll give me the full force to get this done, and there'll be no question about it, and the authority to spend the money.
Do we want to do that today, or do we want to let you research the costs and bring it back to the next meeting?
I'll defer to you, what you would like.
I think that's a good idea.
I would prefer you bring something back.
Okay, I'll do that.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Tim.
May I say one more thing?
Yes.
After they put them in, my fiance was at my house and we were watching TV, and she looks over at me and she says, "I would sell it." I'm like, if the realtor's standing in my house with a young couple and a couple of kids and they hear the rumble strips, would you buy it? I don't think so. So I just thought I'd throw that in there, that's what she said, and I thought, well, I ain't gonna sell. All right, well, thank you again.
Yep.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Okay, we were supposed to have a public hearing at 9:05, so we'll skip the next few things and go to that.
Madam Chair, motion to open the public hearing.
Second?
Motion by Commissioner Coring, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
I need to
Aye.
call the
Aye.
roll.
Roll.
Madam
She
Chair.
has to call roll.
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag.
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye. Okay, we are,
We ready?
yes.
All right. Well, good morning. What we have before you today is some amendments to the short-term rental ordinance. As a reminder, the short-term rental ordinance came into effect became effective on January 1 of 2021. And then what we're proposing today are just mainly housekeeping as far as what we're going to look into, make some updates in the ordinance. And then there are a couple of substantive changes that we'll discuss. And if that's okay, then we'll go over that before we open the hearing so we know what's being amended in the ordinance. So I'm just going to kind of just walk through the sections, and if anybody has any further questions or want to discuss it more, just please let me know. But one of the changes we're making is in section 2.1 to just clarify that subsurface sewage treatment systems, or septic systems as we typically call them, must follow county ordinance and state rule. Right now it just reflects state rule. Also in section 2.1, we just wanted to add a definition for travel trailer, because that's one of the items that would be a restricted use as far as not allowing a short-term rental to be used for a travel trailer. And then we would propose to delete section 3.3, which requires a license for each individual short-term rental on one parcel. What we'd like to do is have one license and then incorporate, if there's 2 units on a parcel, just have one license. Because right now, you have to have 2 licenses. So if you have say you have a house and a guest house, you have to get 2 separate licenses, and that's just more of an administrative burden on our part and more work for the applicant to go through. So we would like to just have those be under one license. So you have 2 units, like Unit A and Unit B will be on one license instead of issuing 2 for one property.
Madam Chair, for clarification, Chris, would the cost of that license be more?
Nope.
Be just as if it was one?
It's still based on the bedroom, $100 per bedroom is how we're charging fees, and that would not change for if we were to do just one license versus 2.
Okay.
Section 4.1 would, is a provision that we're proposing to change, that a license would not be issued if a property has 3 substantiated violations within the prior calendar year. So, for example, let's say that in 2023, we had a situation where they did have 3 substantiated violations before the end of the year, and that would then cause their license to be revoked. They would not be able to apply for a license in the following year. So we don't want to have somebody who's has violated the ordinance and lost their license come January 1, we reset that clock automatically, and then they can then apply for that, and we go through that same process again. So we're proposing that if they've had 3 strikes or 3 violations of the ordinance in a calendar year, that the following year they wouldn't be able to apply for a license or be approved for a license.
Was that not in there already?
That part was not in there. We have the 3-strike rule, which would say that for 2023, so let's say if by July 1st, we have 3 substantiated violations, the license would be revoked, but then come January 1 of the following year, they would be able to, so we're saying that if your license is revoked, that it doesn't automatically reset just because you get to January 1. There needs to be, we want people to know that we're serious about following the ordinance, and then if you choose to, violate, have those 3 strikes this year, it'll also follow into the following year for you as well. And then section 4.2, we wanted to clarify that, again, this is more housekeeping, that we need a complete application for the license, as well as clarifying that the ordinance issues a license and not a permit. Section 5.1, I think, is probably the largest policy change being proposed. Right now, the current ordinance does not allow in section 5.1 holding tanks to be allowed as a acceptable way to treat the wastewater from the property. And we've had approximately 7 appeals this year that have come in from applicants who have requested relief from that provision of the ordinance to allow holding tanks, and all of those provisions have been approved. All the appeals have been approved, and so we've got some conditions in place that you can see up here that would be required, and these are all the conditions that have been required consistently for the appeals that have been approved through the appeal process. And so in essence, what we would need provided to us would be that a licensed septic designer would provide in writing that there is no suitable location on the property for a drain field. So there just isn't the room. It's not a financial situation. It's that they can't fit it on that because of the small size of the lot. And that the holding tank will be sized according to the county ordinance and Minnesota Rule 7080. An electronic alarm with a light and buzzer would be installed, notifying the occupants that the holding tanks will be at capacity. The alarm shall have the capacity to send a message to the owner agent when the alarm is triggered, and then information will be posted in the unit itself that if this alarm goes off, here's the phone number to call if you have that issue come up. I do want to clarify that I was made aware of my lack of sometimes technology a little bit, but we don't want to have it just be a text message, be more of a notification, because it's more of an app-based system than it is actually a text-based. So we want to change that the 3rd bullet to being a notification versus text message. If there is an existing manual bobber alarm, that must also remain in place as a redundant alarm, and basically that's a situation where you've got the 4-inch pipe coming to the surface, and you put a pipe in there that's capped on the bottom, and then it bobbers up as it floats up, so you can see, and once it gets to a certain point, then you know that's a point. So if the electric alarm doesn't work, this would be a redundant alarm as a secondary for that backup. And then we would require them to install a water meter so that we know how much water would be recorded monthly. And then as they apply for their license renewal, they would have to submit that to get a license renewal every year. And then they'd also have to have a state licensed, a license with a state licensed septic maintainer to know who is going to be the one responsible to maintain those tanks and get them pumped out on a regular basis. They must keep those pumping records in place and then make those available as well when they come in and want to apply for a license.
Madam Chair, if they don't, then they would have to quit with their operation until it's corrected, is that right?
Correct.
And that would
Yep.
be a strike.
Correct. Absolutely. Yep. So I think that's probably the most substantive change that we're proposing. If we go to section 5.2, this is just clarifying what structures are prohibited as short-term rental units. So we just want to make sure that it's the use of travel trailers, tents, yurts, fish houses, or other temporary structures are prohibited. So what we want people to use for their short-term rentals are, existing dwelling units, existing guest cabins, that sort of a thing, and not be pulling on these different temporary use structures that for a short-term rental to increase the short-term rental opportunity on that property. Revise section 5.2 again to just clarify that you're allowed to have the 2 short-term rentals are allowed per parcel. And then we propose to add the last, I think it's in section 6.
8.1.
Just clarification, no, excuse me, it's 8. Just to add clarification that as we provide these services to the city, that they would need to give us notification by December 31st of the previous year that they'd want the county to provide those services for the following year. Once we have received notice that they would like us to do that, they don't have to let us notify us every year, but it's just to make sure that we have that time frame and heads up so that we're not in that gray area when it's not from January 1 going forward, where who do I get my license from and how do I, most are very good at wanting to apply right away to get it done, and we just want to make sure there's no gray area or tell people we don't know who's going to issue the license, with either the county or the city. So those would be the main changes and proposals that we made. We did have put this out for comment. It went from October 4th to November 6th. We received a couple comments. They were in your packet. Nothing in the comments that came in were substantive to the point of where we would make any changes to the ordinance as it was proposed, except for the 5.1C where we just change text message to notification. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Chair, on the one you have here where you talk about the water meter under, 5C?
Yes.
And you go down here, and then it say under that bullet point, 6.5, bullet point 5, water meter must be installed prior to license issued. But then on the last line, it says water meter reading shall not be required for the initial license application. So they got to have a water meter in the system. And will you track that then year after year on the license? If they renew it every year, you're going to say last year they used this much water, this year they used?
Yep. Absolutely. Madam Chair, Commissioner Lubke, the idea was that not all homes have water meters installed, and so we don't want to penalize somebody for not having one installed to get for a license. So we wouldn't require water meter readings until it was installed, until after they'd received a license, and then we would use that information. We want to make sure that, if all of a sudden we're seeing water meter readings that they're sized at 300 gallons per day and we're seeing water meter readings at 600 gallons per day, we're going to have a conversation about that ahead of time to figure out
Especially
what
on
is
a tank. On a tank system.
Correct.
And that's only on a tank system.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, exactly. We'd want to make sure that there might be, leaking fixtures, or there could be, other causes of that, or it could just be high water use, which might require that holding tank to be, they might install
you could
another
have
one or a larger one, so.
A toilet stuck.
Yep, and so
And
we just
that'll
want to,
fill
if
that
we
up
see that
pretty-
consistently, we want to help address that so that we
And
don't
there's
have
nothing that's
those
going to shut
issues.
that off?
Yeah.
If nobody's there?
Correct.
Okay. But they will be warned because of the system that you have on it. Under 8, you have that the city must initially notify land services by December 31st in writing the city desired for the county to administer. What happens if the city doesn't want the county to administrate it? When do they have to give notice?
They don't have to give any notice at all, because they only would give us notice if they want us. So this is, We are made it available to the cities to administer their short-term rental ordinance if they would choose. If they would like us not to, then there's nothing for the city to do. So, for example, a city like Pequot Lakes has chosen to not, at this point, to engage with us on, enforcing a short-term rental in the city. So they don't have to let us know yes or no. They only would let us know yes if they want us to do it.
But if the city has asked us to watch over it, and the city would like to discontinue that, when would the city have to let you know?
I'm not sure, I'd have to review, I don't remember there being anything in here that would require any sort of a time frame. Usually, typically, it's like, give us, it's like a 2-month, time frame so we can have the time to be able to wiggle on and to work through that.
Somebody's sneaking up.
I can sense something.
Yeah,
behind
somebody's
something-
sneaking up
something
behind you, just to let
foreboding,
you know.
so, yeah.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My opinion is they got to let us know by the end of the year. If you have a city with substantial short-term rentals, and if we have, let's say, 30, 40 customers we've already issued a license for, and then the city goes, oh, wait a minute, here it is April, we want to do our own, we're going to have a mountain of refunds. And by all means, if a city wants to do their own, I think we're all in agreement, no problem, to an extent, depending on how far down the pike you could say we are that year. So I would say they need to have their ducks in a row, either in or out by the end of the year, and then we just move forward. And we can always change it the following year if that makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't know if there was a timeline. I know I've heard 30 days is what I've heard in conversations that I've been around. They'd have to let the county know within 30 days of the end of the year whether they wanted to go on or not, but I didn't see that in any writing on any of the documents, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Madam Chair, in the agreement, number 9, termination, says 60 days prior to the date of termination.
Is that on this in this
Yeah, it's in the
one we have?
contract.
This is just an agreement we have. This happens to be City
Oh,
of
this is,
Crosby's
not on
agreement.
this one, this is the agreement we have that
It's the
with the cities.
contract.
Okay, so it's in that agreement, okay.
It is, I would just say, it's an administrative nightmare. We haven't had anybody opt out in the middle. Probably want to look at, syncing this up with maybe our ordinance with a out clause in it too.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. How many short-term rentals are there in Crow Wing County?
The last report that we ran, we've issued approximately 575 licenses.
Okay. I just kind of have a thought. We're always talking about recently the lack of housing stock. Could these be playing into the lack of housing stock, having so many? I mean, they're nice houses that are being put up there just for rent, so people can't buy them and don't live in them year-round.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I think, yes, I think the answer to that would be yes for every house that's, either rented, long-term or short-term, takes it out of the pool of potential house that could be purchased by somebody. So, for sure, yeah.
When we've been discussing this ordinance, have we ever thought of limiting the number of houses that can go in a certain area? Like, we don't want 50 houses on Whipple Lake or something.
Right. Madam Chair, Commissioners, that hasn't been a discussion that at least that I've had, but it's definitely a consideration. I know that there are some cities that have made those choices where they limit the number of total units within their city jurisdiction, and they'll do it sometimes by neighborhood or just by just a general number for the city. I think the only thing that I see with that being potentially an issue is, let's say, just for sake of argument, we choose 200, and we have 562, who gets to be the 200? Is it a lottery type thing where you put your name in a hat by a certain date, and we just pull out and then you get one, and if you don't get it? That's my only thing with a number, is I just don't know how you can make that be fair, to make sure who gets to be, maybe it's just the first 200 to sign up for a license gets it, or, that's the way it is in these other cities and stuff, so.
But if that was how we were going to do it, I think this is something we need to discuss.
Sure.
But if we were going to do this, I wouldn't want all 200 to be on the same lake. I'd want them to be able to be divided.
Sure.
Gary's behind you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, we did have that discussion when we wrote the ordinance. it was decided not to do that and to see where and how many short-term rentals we have. Out of the 575, the vast majority of those short-term rentals are on the water, and highly unlikely that they were going to be part of the housing stock that we're talking about. Other than the communities around Crosby, Ironton, where there's a lot of off water, and it doesn't mean there are a few sprinkled throughout the county, but the vast majority of the 575 are on a body of water somewhere that that owner probably isn't going to rent them, or somebody that lives here in this community can't afford the $1 million or $750,000 house working in the community, most of the folks here. So probably not in that kind of housing stock that we're thinking, but if we did see in the data that out of the 575, 500 of them were in one neighborhood, then yeah, you probably should think about a limit in different areas. Just don't know that we have that high of concentration where they're at currently.
Madam Chair, just to discuss that, would that be something that would be more to the jurisdiction, if it's a city's jurisdiction, to them to manage it? If it would be in an organized territory, FAD or SAD district, then it would fall under us to manage the numbers in those districts. But I think in the case of what I know in the district I serve, that I think Breezy Point has, I think it's 60, I think is what they allow. And we happen to have the city administrator here, so he could verify that if he'd like. But I think last time I read it, it was 60, wasn't it, Dave? Yeah, and so they manage their own, so they can limit it that, and I think Crosby is doing the same thing, if I'm not mistaken, is looking at limiting the number, or haven't they?
I don't believe we've heard anything from Crosby so far. They've been happy with our
Ironton.
administration.
Are they? Yeah. Okay, that just, because I would almost think that would be, if we made that decision on the county board, we're kind of taking over that authority from the city to make that own decision for them, where they see their housing stock. That's just a point of discussion.
Madam Chair, I would only point out that we're talking about a potential future change to the ordinance, and we have a public hearing on the current changes to the ordinance. And we have the motion has been made and seconded to open the public hearing. I would suggest we take some public comment on the changes that are currently proposed. We can certainly pursue having additional changes teed up for your consideration. If you would like that dialogue, we're happy to facilitate that dialogue, but I think we probably should return to the agenda at hand.
Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak to this issue? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak? Can I have a motion to close?
Madam Chair, Stephanie has her hand up, so she has
Oh,
something to
okay.
say.
All right. Go ahead.
Oh, can't hear you.
Unmute.
Still muted.
Sorry about that. Good morning, everyone. Madam Chair, Commissioners. Just a few things to clarify. There was a question about when a city would have to refuse our services or let us know. In our current contracts with the cities, they are only 1-year contracts. So they have to renew those within their city, and then we would have to approve that. So we have to see a contract before that happens.
Okay.
Okay. Madam Chair, if there's no other discussion, I would make the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag to close the public hearing.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzi?
Aye. Okay, next thing is short-term licensing ordinance proposed revisions. Is
Madam
there a
Chair, I'll make
motion?
the motion to approve the resolution as attached, addressing the revisions to the short-term rental ordinance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none?
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
No.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
No. Motion carries. Thank you. Okay, now we will go back. Just to review and approval of the November 14th regular county board meeting minutes.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve.
Is there-
Minutes?
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lubke, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Hoag? Aye. Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Okay, now the minutes for the county board and the HRA meeting.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Madam Chair, before we vote on this, can I ask a question to the county administrator?
Yes.
Hey, Tim, I don't, at the meeting, the county board voted on the 29,000 out of the, our reserves for the housing, or for HRA. I don't see it on our agenda, so is that considered approved, or is it going to be approved at some future meeting?
I have to put that in for future board action.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was wondering. Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, I believe that was action that was taken at that HRA meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry, that is correct. Yes, the action was
Yes.
taken at the HRA board meeting, at that joint
Yes.
meeting.
So they're in the minutes
And
They should be.
that you're approving right now.
So if we approve these minutes, are we reapproving that?
You're approving what's written as the summary of the meeting. The action has already occurred.
Okay.
okay.
All right. Well, anyway, I have a motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag? Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Okay, review and approve the agenda.
No changes.
Okay. Motion to approve?
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hoag, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag? Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve.
There's a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag? Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye again.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion carries.
Just getting rid of them.
Okay. Community services. Or did we?
Good morning, Madam Chair and County Board. Kara Terry, Community Services Director. I am here today to discuss our grant application process and ask for your review and approval. So a brief presentation on BLADE, or our Brainerd Lakes Area Drug Education Coalition. It came about in 2019 as a new way to approach the drug problem in Crow Wing County. BLADE helps to provide a new path forward in reducing drug addiction, increasing drug enforcement, and working holistically with those impacted by substances. The mission of BLADE is to prevent drug abuse, protect our people, and preserve our community. We have a lot of different stakeholders involved, including the Crow Wing County Sheriff's Office, Community Services, and the County Attorney's Office, local law enforcement agencies, area schools, the faith community, those with lived experience in our recovery community, community members, community providers, the media, and community organizations and businesses. In June of last year, we learned of the federal opioid monies and decided to loop that work into our BLADE coalition. To date, we've done a great deal of work, including conducting a community survey to understand how the community believed we should spend the opioid monies. We held or participated in events to gather feedback and information. These events included the Crow Wing County Fair, National Night Out gatherings, and our Protect Our People grant application process, for which I am here today. As you know, several states, including Minnesota, sued drug manufacturers, other companies, and individuals that contributed to the opioid epidemic issue. Crow Wing County received its initial settlement amount on October 17th of 22, and we're slated to receive about $2.5 million over the next 18 years. This amount does not include pending settlements, so that number could be higher. As of November 9th of this year, we've received a total of $556,624. As I mentioned, we conducted a community survey to understand how our community believed the opioid settlement dollars should be spent. Our coalition then reviewed the data and bucketed it into 4 primary areas, including prevention, treatment and recovery, harm reduction, and working in the justice system. In the spring of 23, the BLADE Coalition launched the Protect Our People Partnership opportunity, funded through our allotment of the National Opioid Epidemic Settlement. The primary purpose of the initiative was to grant up to $200,000 to local projects to reduce the impact of the opioid epidemic in Crow Wing County by supporting families, youth, our schools, and services within the criminal justice system, and impacting at least one of the 4 buckets of work I just mentioned. In designing this initiative, the coalition learned about participatory grant making and brainstormed about how this opportunity could be leveraged to build reciprocal relationships with the wider community. So during the summer of 23, the BLADE Coalition invited community members and agencies to advance collaborative, community-based work through this funding opportunity that would impact one or more of the primary buckets I listed. We received a total of 17 applications, and the BLADE Coalition met to engage with grant applicants, and each applicant gave a presentation and answered questions of the group. Each coalition member then scored each application, providing comments, and had discussions around funding. You can see results in the handouts that I provided in your packet. 26 ballots were cast. Each voter selected 10 projects to recommend for funding. Based on the vote totals, the top 11 projects in the green shaded area are recommended for full funding. After allocating funds to those top 11 projects, there was $6,150 remaining of the $200,000 allocated to this project. The 2 projects in yellow shading tied to be next in line for the remaining funding. The BLADE Opioid Committee recommends splitting the remaining funding 2 ways and offer partial award to the 2 projects of $3,075 to each. Once the grants are approved for funding, the approved applicants will enter into a contract, much like the ARPA contracts that we developed for that application process. In addition, each grantee will be required to meet as a group quarterly to give updates on their work, share how they're working together, and provide updates to ensure accountability. They will also complete an end of grant report, and we will bring information back to you at that time. I wanted to answer a question that was raised by Commissioner Lubke at the Committee of the Whole meeting related to the work crew sponsorship application. They do serve kids from Brainerd, Baxter, and Crosby, and the grant will help youth from all of those communities. I stand for any questions you might have, and I ask for approval of the coalition's recommendations.
Are there any questions? If not, do I have a motion?
Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I will make the motion to approve the BLADE Opioid Coalition funding to community grant recipients as identified through the coalition grant application process.
Do I have a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Madam Chair, I'd just like to thank the group that put that together, looked at the applications, and I think they did a wonderful job. I think it's a beginning. It certainly will be a long road to try to address the opiate issue or addiction issue, but thank you for all the efforts that were made.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Land Services.
Good morning again.
Hi.
I've invited Tom to come up this morning and to explain our request number 9.1 to approve a petition with the Wasson family on Crow Wing County tax forfeited land. So, Tom, why don't you explain what the request is, please?
Yes, good morning, Madam Chair and board members. So we're here today before you to talk about a petition action. This 40-acre parcel, as you can see on the map, is located in second assessment in section 17 with a PID of 5817P006. So this 40-acre parcel is right now considered undivided interest, where the county holds 80% in either tax forfeit or county fee, and then the remaining 20% is held by the Wassons. And there, you can see in the board action here that there's actually 5 of them that own an equal share of that 20%. So Land Services staff have been working with the county attorney's office to start this petition action, and we've been working on this piece of property for a couple years, and neither the county or the Wassons were interested in outright selling their share, and so then we agreed to start looking at a potential partition action. So we do have deeds drafted and all signed by the Wasson family to proceed with this partition action. So after the property was split, we were part of the property being split. We worked with KLD and got the legal descriptions, and then it was found that we would receive about 32 acres of the property for our 80%, and the Wassons would receive approximately 8 acres. So here today before, if you have any questions, and looking for a motion of support to sign the partition action.
If there are no questions, can we have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
I'll second that.
Motion by Commissioner Hoag, second by Commissioner Lubke. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring,
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke,
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag,
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tom.
Now we're on to Lake Improvement District assessments.
Hi, good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. We're here to discuss the lake improvement districts and to approve their proposed 2024 assessments. Just a little background here. Crow Wing County has 9 lake improvement districts, with the first being created in 2004, which was Round Lake, and the last being in 2018, which was Seabee Lake. Earlier this year, if you remember, we revised our policies to be more consistent with state statute, easier for the LIDs to understand, and required county board approval of this assessment prior to the amount taking effect for the succeeding year. Each year, they are required by statute and our policy to provide us with an annual report. This includes their 2023 budget, their projected 2024 budget, and we did receive all of these reports on time this year, and the budget reports are included in your packet. One LID, Round, has not assessed property owners for the last 4 years due to high remaining LID balances. 2 LIDs have increased their assessment for 2024, Kimball going from 90 to 125, and Aussie just increasing a few cents. CB LID funds are still currently being held by the county. All the other LIDs have created their own bank accounts and are doing all their own bookkeeping. All of these LID reports will be on the full LID report will be on the county website for you to view after this meeting as well, if you'd like to review them. But yeah, so we're just looking for a motion to approve the 2024 assessments for all 9 LIDs, as seen in your packet. And have any questions?
Madam Chair, a quick question. Didn't we as a board approve or indicate that we want each of these to take care of their own accounting?
Mm-hmm.
And which ones have not achieved that?
CB Lit is the one that is left, and they're just having trouble creating a checking account because they need to give a social security number, and no one on that Lit board wants to do that at this time. So we gave them a few contact information for other lids and what did they do, how did they set up that bank account, and I know finance is working with them, but it's just CB Lit that we're currently still holding funds for.
So is there a timeline for that to be achieved?
I don't know if finance has given them a deadline or not.
Madam Chair.
We need to.
Yeah.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Yeah, Debbie's got an answer for this. Her and I have had a conversation about this, and go ahead, Deb.
Madam Chair, yes, we did talk with Commissioner Coring. We sent a letter to CB Lake District letting them know that we will not continue to do their bank accounts anymore, and starting with the settlement in January of 2024, they will just receive a check from us if they do not have a bank account for us to do the ACH transfer for. So we did put a deadline of the end of the year for them to get a new bank account set up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions?
If there are no other questions, Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to approve the attached 2024 assessments for the Crow Wing, Kimball, Lower South Long Lake, Ossawamna Key, Round, Ruth, CB, Sibley, and Upper South Long Lake Improvement Districts.
Is there a second? Second. Motion by Commissioner Barrow, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzi?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
County Engineer.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the commission,
Morning,
or
Matt.
board, I should say. Matt Cowers, Transportation Planner with the Highway Department. I've got two things on the agenda today. They're both pertaining to the LRIP grant, or the Local Road Improvement Program. And they're both things that have been applied for in the past. They were not funded, and so we are reapplying this year, with the first being a project that's a joint application between Crow Wing County and Cass County, and the second being sponsorship for the city of Breezy Point. Just some background on the local road improvement program. This utilizes funds for the costs of constructing or reconstructing streets, highways, roads, and specifically the goal we're using it is regional significance is the factor that we're going for. That's why the joint application is between Cass and Crow Wing County. There's 1.5 million available. This is up 250,000 from the last time we applied in 2021. And also with this, there's no local match required. And so for the specific project that we're looking at, let's see if I can use the pointer. So you can see 170 or Mapleton, this is the reconstruction area that we are aiming for in Crow Wing County. The county line is right here. And this is Cass's portion. Cass has 0.5 miles right here, and this is a 2-mile stretch right here. This entire area of Baxter seen growth since the last surfacing of 170 that was done in 2005. Average daily traffic has nearly doubled. The road doesn't have capacity for the future growth, which is expected to be residential in this area. There's already another school here. This map is a little outdated where it doesn't have the new elementary school, but the current road is a 7-ton road, and it's just not built to the spec that we want. So what we're looking to do is reconstruct to the state standards, get better driving widths, shoulder widths, clear zones, remove any steep slopes, and just improve safety where kids may be walking to these schools in the future. And so that's for the first one, and so we'd be seeking a resolution to apply for this LRIP funding. And I would also like to add, this is in our HIP plan, or the Highway Improvement Plan, and it's planned for 2026 regardless, and so this would take a chunk out of that. Otherwise, we'll utilize the local option sales tax.
Are there any questions? Could I have a motion?
Madam Chair, since this is in my district, I will make the motion to approve this resolution being the application for local road improvement program, funds for improvements to County Road 170. Long overdue.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lebke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you.
All right, and then the second thing, same funding source, the LRIP, and this is for Breezy Point is the lead agency, but since they are not a state aid city, less than 5,000, they need a sponsoring agent and fiscal host, 'cause that's where Crow Wing County comes into play. And the project itself, you can see here, this is very similar. I think they expanded it a little bit more in the 21 application. They downsized it just to this for the 2023 application, but you can see here Bushman Road and Ranchette Drive, CASA 11's here, and CASA 11 continues down here as well. But they want to improve this intersection right here at Ranchette and Bushman. And then also this corridor itself, it's used as a kind of a cut through for traffic to get to 371. So it's seen traffic go way up in the last couple of years. Along with that, there's some roadway width issues, tight curves, steep hills, just kind of like the Crow Wing County, where we're just trying to make it a safer road and whole. But yeah, with that, if there's any questions for myself, or we also have Mr. Chansky, right behind me.
Sneaking up on you there, Matt.
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for considering this resolution today. As Matt said, Bushman Road, for any of those familiar with the Breezy Point area, has been something that's been discussed for probably a couple decades. Its current iteration was constructed back in the 1990s, and it really wasn't constructed to any municipal standard. It's a road that's been deteriorating. Our Public Works Department spends many hours, many thousands of dollars every year trying to do their best to maintain it. In 2021, the city, along with the cities of Pequot Lakes, Ideal Township, and Jenkins, did a joint corridor study of that area, looking at Bushman Road, Ackerson, and Nelson Roads as well. At that time, the determination was that Ackerson and Nelson Roads were not going to be included, but the Breezy Point City Council felt that it's time to move forward with Bushman Road. In 2022, we contracted with WSB to start the engineering on this. So where we are at this point is we've finished preliminary design, and the city council will be approving contracts to move into final design, which would include easement acquisition, final design, construction document preparation, and bidding for 2024. The target construction is in 2025. Our preliminary estimates for this project is about $3.6 million, and we are going to be going towards the maximum for this is the rural routes bucket of the LRIP of $1.8 million. There is about a half-mile section on the western side that Breezy Point shares with Ideal Township, and we are actually in agreement with them for that section. So they own the north half of that half mile, we own the south half, so they're covering all costs related to the north half of that half mile. On November 6th, the City Council in Breezy Point did approve a similar resolution that's before you today, and then on November 13th, Ideal Township Board also approved this resolution. So we're just looking for your support on this as well, so we can get our grant submitted on December 8th, and then continue to move forward with this project. I'll take any questions if you have on this project.
Madam Chair, if there's no more questions, I would make a motion to.
Madam Chair, I just have a comment, not a question. I just want to say I'm really pleased that we're working well with Breezy Point, and I just want to compliment the city administrator for not chewing us out or giving us good tongue lashing today. So you can see that we have to work with each other, and it doesn't do any good to chastise each other. So I just want to thank you publicly for not chewing us out today, and that we're working good together.
That was 2022, Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, back. Madam Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution for the sponsorship for Breezy Point application to the Local Road Improvement Program, LRP funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Lebke, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Dave.
And can I say one more thing?
Of course.
It's not on the agenda, but we did hear back on that rural and tribal assistance pilot program for the feasibility study in front of Eagleview Elementary School in Breezy Point. We were not selected. There was only 13 communities that were selected around the United States, and there was over 400 applications. So, as Tim Bray and I hinted, it is like Taylor Swift tickets. So, but they have committed next year up till 2026 that they'll keep doing this program. So, we'll continue to hopefully apply and do some more studies. So,
Great.
but thank you.
Madam
Thank you
Chair.
so much.
May I ask a question, Matt? What would be the next thing in that area? Because it is in the district I serve, and there is quite a concern about that. Is there any other way to go other than just look for that grant?
Well, I know, and David, you might be able to hint at this as well, but we're doing a TA application or Transportation Alternatives application. I believe next year, the city of Breezy Point has set aside money for a feasibility study.
He just left.
He left.
He left, dang it. That's all I know. So I do know that they have money set aside to do that regardless if we did this or not. I know the referendum failed as well, and that was one thing they had in there too, so.
And the school is all in Breezy?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So, yeah, I believe something will be done next year.
Okay. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda is the county sheriff. That's you, Eric.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dr. Hool. I wanted to introduce to you our new EMO, or our Emergency Management Director at the Sheriff's Office, a new position, or it's a little reorganized position. But he's going to be our main Emergency Management Director, and we're thrilled to have him. He's a great asset to our agency, to the county as a whole. He comes with a lot of experience and a lot of military experience doing exactly what he'll be doing with us. So with that, I just wanted to introduce him to you and have him share a couple things with you and go from there.
Thank you, Sheriff. Again, Clayton Barg. Again, look forward to serving the community of Crow Wing County as your new Emergency Management Director. As the Sheriff mentioned, a little bit of experience under my belt. 30 years military, both active duty and reserve. Served as the Operations Chief in Iraq with the Multinational Security Transition Command. Also spent as an Operations Chief down in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. Got a bachelor's degree in Emergency Management, master's in Technology, Homeland Security Management, and spent the last nearly 19 years with the City of Baxter, as well as a police officer in the last 7 years with the Sheriff's Office, with the Drug Task Force as well. So a few other things, again, I could go on, but I won't take up any more of your time. But again, wanted to say thank you for taking the opportunity for me to come in front of you today, introduce myself, and look forward to working with everybody on the board. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being on board.
Very well qualified.
Any questions for him at all?
Any questions for me?
I'll just say, Madam Chair, if I might, I'm surprised we haven't heard from you with that voice before today, because you certainly can be heard, so.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Wow. That's all we have for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, County Attorney, termination of tax forfeited land contracts.
Good morning, everyone, again.
Good
Madam Chair, County Board. Oh, I'm not muted. We sent a list over of the tax forfeited land contracts. After we did this, I realized we could probably put this on the consent agenda, but we are asking for approval to send these cancellations out. There's a summary listed in the packet that was provided.
Is there a motion?
Madam Chair, if there's no questions, I'll make the motion to approve the resolution of cancellation of the tax forfeited land contracts.
Second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have nothing further.
All right, thank you. County Administrator.
Madam Chair, members of the board, first off, I wanted to tell you about the Hagen plat. You may recall last board meeting, we had a plat come forward and there were some issues with consultation with the other members of the family. Do you recall that? And you had tabled it to this meeting and said that we were hoping they could work that out, and if not, you were going to be prepared to act on it. The applicant has asked for more time. And so we did not bring it back to you today because the applicant, not the person who came to see us, the applicant pulled the application and asked for more time to work it out between, I suspect, between family members. So I just wanted you to know that's why it is not on your agenda, and we are waiting for the applicant to put it forward. We still need to be concerned about the 60-day window, but Chris is well-versed in that and make sure that we don't run amok of that. Any questions about that?
Madam Chair, Administrator, if they've pulled their application, does that restart the 60-day window?
I don't think they really pulled it. I think they asked us to hold it.
Okay,
And that is
okay.
fine as long as they waive the 60-day requirement.
And, yeah, if they've done that, otherwise we'd be caught on the end of that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so I will double check that with Chris, but, you know, I know he's got a good handle on the 60-day.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Madam Chair, there was a senior management team meeting yesterday. We looked at and met with our vendor to review engagement survey results for the organization. Engagement is measuring the degree to which employees will engage in discretionary effort, and that's the important word there, discretionary. In other words, it's going above and beyond the call of duty. And so it's measuring the degree to which our employees are enthusiastic about going above and beyond the call of duty. It is a good surrogate for productivity. I'm happy to report that our engagement results did improve a bit, and against the McLean benchmark, we do quite nicely. That was not always the case as well. And so I think our engagement results are good. What you would find is, like with every other survey that we've done, we have within those organizational results, we have departmental results. And some of those went up, some of those went down. And that is instructive for us about, is pressure building within our systems, or is it going down within our systems? When things are going really well, we celebrate them. When things are giving us an indication we may be going in the wrong direction, it tells us so that we can go do something to try to fix it. And so we talked about that a great deal. We also talked about performance management as we end the year and start coming through the end of year cycle, setting calendars for calibration and discussing the calendars for how employees should do their end of year reviews, which will be starting shortly. We also discussed who will be hosting the leadership teams meetings over the next year. We rotate it. Different departments host it so that we move around the organization. And we had a budget update, and what I think is important about that is, just like with engagement survey results, budgets go up and they go down within the divisions. And so, you know, we're at 3.99% levy increase, and there are divisions within the organization that went up by more than that, and then there are parts of the organization that went down. I would tell you that if it was not for the state aids that went into the Health and Human Services area, that was a 6% levy decrease. And think about how sizable community services levy is. If it wasn't for those increased funds, we would have had a difficult time making that 3.99 work. And so I think we're still pleased at where we're at with that, and starting to look towards 25 budget already. Happy to answer questions about the senior management team meeting. Moving on, Madam Chair, members of the board, enclosed in your packet is a request for board action regarding a funding allocation for the Brainerd Lakes Regional Airport. On October 11th, we received a letter from Brainerd City Administrator at the request of the City Council highlighting an issue that taxpayers in Brainerd pay both to the county, the levy that the county has, and the levy to the city that they do for their services. We are both funding the airport. And so what that means is that the residents of the taxpayers of Brainerd were paying both to the city for their airport contribution as well as to the county for our airport contribution. Of course, the taxpayers of the city of Brainerd are not paying 100% of the county's contribution. How much are they paying? The city of Brainerd currently represents 6% of the tax base of the county. And so of our $157,000 contribution, the city taxpayers contributed $9,420 of that to the county. And the city fathers have asked that we try to deal with that where residents are being taxed twice. The residents of Brainerd are the only residents in the county who that is the case for. So we came up with a shorter-term solution, increasing our levy by $9,400, letting the city decrease theirs by the same. That's a shorter-term solution, and it is for 2024. Based on the conversations that we're having with city staff, there's a broader conversation that we still want to have about ownership of the airport. Where is the right tax base for that? And so that conversation will take longer to bring to fruition. If we leave the ownership stake as it is today, then I think this is a model for how that long-term solution might look. But if we change the ownership issue, if, for instance, we took over ownership of the airport, then this becomes a moot point. So, Madam Chair, members, I put it forward for your consideration for 2024.
Madam Chair, if I might, Administrator, sorry, Commissioner, just to be clear, that the 6% was based on the county's taxing authority and what percent Brainerd's taxing authority is against that, correct? That's how that was arrived at?
And that's as of today.
Correct.
And you can imagine that as the prices of homes on lakes continues to go up faster than the prices of homes in Brainerd, that is a declining share. In other words, I think when I got here, Brainerd represented 13% of the county's tax base. And now they represent 15 years later. It's going to continue to go down as the inflationary pressures around our lakes continue to go up faster than other properties.
So just to follow up on that, if this is what the number is today, but we're not going to implement until, and I'm assuming 2024.
This is for 24.
Would we reevaluate on January 1 to make sure that it's 6% and not something less than 6%, or perhaps even more? I don't know what the outcome would be. Or are we going to utilize today's number?
I think we have to clarify that for the future, and if we transfer ownership of the airport, it's a moot point.
Right.
If we don't transfer ownership of the airport, then I think we need to codify that, write it down in a formal agreement so that we know, and I would argue what we should use is the tax base percent at any given point in time, because it will be changing.
Okay. Commissioner Coring?
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, just to, we did have the discussion at Committee of the Whole on this, but I want to make sure people understand where I'm coming from. I'm voting no on this today. It isn't that I don't agree with this. I do agree with this, but I agree with this for 2025. What we're doing today is taking $9,400 out of the county's savings account. Because the levy has already been set, we can't go up, we can go down, but we're taking money out of our savings account, just like we did the $29,000 that we took out of our savings account for the HRA. I didn't agree with that either. In 25, if this is the same exercise that we're going to have, I am in agreement with it then, but I just don't agree with us taking our reserves to put towards this. And I would also point out, if the city council doesn't lower their levy amount by the same amount that we're giving them, $9,400, I don't even know what we've accomplished. Nothing, really. So I will be voting no on this vote today. It's kind of complicated. I'm sure people are looking at this and saying, Jesus, it's kind of dumb. But just letting the board know that I will be voting no on this today. And that's my reasoning, if that makes sense.
It makes sense to me, and I agree with you. And $9,400 in this whole scheme of things is a small amount. But at the same time, I have to agree. We've already set the preliminary levy, and this would be going above and beyond.
Madam Chair, if I might, I attended the Brainerd City Council meeting a week ago where they discussed this, and I think their position was for 2024. And so I think that's the intent that they had in addressing this issue. But I also think that it's wrong that we're double taxing one group of people for something when we're not doing that to the entire county. So for me, because it is a minimum amount of money, we have an opportunity here to rectify it in the short term and then include it in our levy in the following year if that's the direction that we end up going. So for me, this just corrects something that's been wrong for many years, and today we have the opportunity to do that.
Well, in my opinion, we could rectify it by only having them reduce their levy without us increasing ours.
Madam Chair, I can only speak to the fact that they have to do what they have to do and we do what we have to do. I don't know that we can direct them to do any particular reduction in their levy.
Madam Chair, members, if I can speak to that question. Historically, the city of Brainerd and Crow Wing County have been in concert with each other in setting the levy for the airport. And it is my presumption that if we increase our levy by $9,400, that they will decrease their levy by $9,400, or I don't think you're obligated to increase yours. In other words, it is both sides agreeing to do something here, not just one side. And the second item I want to clarify is, we're not sending a check to the city of Brainerd. We're sending a check to the airport. Now, the city of Brainerd does the accounting for the airport. So who's the check addressed to? The city of Brainerd. But it is to fund the airport operations, not city operations.
Madam Chair, this discrepancy that came out, and it looks like it's probably been going on for many years. So for many years, it has been double taxed for many years. This is a time to take care of it and clear it. I know it causes a little bit of consternation because it's after we've already made our preliminary budget, but we do have, I think, adequate fund balance to cover that. And then next year, like as Administrator Houle said, it might be a whole new game next year. So I'm kind of, I would intend to vote positive on this if a motion comes up.
So, Madam Chair, if there's no other questions, I will make the motion to increase the county's airport appropriation by $9,420 as part of an agreement with the city of Brainerd for them to reduce their levy by the same amount, and further to authorize staff to continue dialogue with city officials about long-term ownership of the airport.
Madam Chair, I'll second that.
And if I may, a
Yes.
point of clarity, for 2024?
Yes, for 2024. That would be my motion.
Yeah, we'll add that to the motion.
Okay.
Commissioner Barrows, is that okay? To add that to
Yes,
the motion?
absolutely.
And the seconder?
Yes, that is okay.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
No.
Commissioner Franzine?
No. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, just a notice, really, that we have received a resignation from the Housing and Redevelopment Authority. Commissioner Franzine's representative, Jennifer Bergman, has moved on to work for the state of Minnesota in helping counties with housing issues. And so there is a vacancy. So the request for board action is to accept Jennifer's resignation and authorize a certificate of appreciation be prepared for her service to Crow Wing County.
Madam Chair, I would make that motion.
There's a second. Okay, motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Madam Chair, members of the board, also enclosed in your packet.
Tim, before we move on, could I ask a question? Or
Sure.
Madam Chair, may I ask a question of Tim? Tim, on the HRA, now that there's a vacancy, I don't know, this is just a curiosity question. Are we required to, it's getting harder and harder to find people to serve on committees, on the HRA board specifically, do they have to be from that commissioner district, or can they be from anywhere in the county?
I
Do
believe,
we know that?
I believe they need to be from the Commissioner District.
Okay.
Madam Chair, members, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action. It is the 14th renewal amendment for the holding facility for impounded dangerous dogs in Crow Wing County. I don't even know if we've gotten a bill for one lately. We have not impounded a ton of dangerous dogs, but we are statutorily responsible. And so if the sheriff's department were to have to confiscate a dangerous dog, where are they going to go with it? This is where they're going to go with it. It's the 14th Amendment to the contract. It's the same impound fee, and the owner pays the impound fee if they collect the dog, and otherwise we are charged for the impound fee, the veterinary charge, and euthanasia and disposal cost. I am aware that that has happened one time.
Any questions? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve that contract for renewal for Amendment 14 for holding facility.
Second?
Second.
I think Commissioner Hoag got in first. Motion by Commissioner Lubke, second by Commissioner Hoag. All those in favor?
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, members of the board, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action. It is a contract renewal amendment, also number 14, for a holding facility for impounded dogs in the unorganized territories. Because you are the town board for the unorganized territories, you are responsible statutorily for stray animals. And so if stray animals are picked up in either of those two, we have a contract with Hart that they will take them for us. And so it is the way that we manage stray animals in the two unorganized territories. Essentially, if someone brings in an animal to Hart, this is the contract that will cover it. Here again, if someone claims their animal, then they are responsible for the fee. But if no one claims the animal, we're going to be on the hook for it. Madam Chair, I put it forward. There is no changes to the contract.
Any questions about this contract?
No, move approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hoag, second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye. Motion carries.
Madam Chair, members of the board, also enclosed in your packet is a request for board action to adopt the 2024 County Board calendar. We have the county board meetings held on the second and fourth Tuesday of each month. There are some exceptions to that in your packet. The Committee of the Whole meetings to be held on the third Tuesday of each month. Personnel on the first and third Monday. Budget Committee meetings second Thursday of each month. The Natural Resource Advisory meetings to be held quarterly on the first Wednesday. And there is a calendar in your packet that highlights those dates. This is an important action because what it sets is this calendar represents all of your regular board meetings. And so when we publish this calendar, we have met the requirement for all of your open meeting law requirements for these regular board meetings. We still do it meeting by meeting by meeting because we want to err on the side of transparency and full disclosure. Any meeting that's going to deviate from this calendar is going to be a special meeting. And if it is on short notice, it is an emergency meeting. So it is really just, it's an important action because this sets our regular board meetings for the year. I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's been reviewed with you before. I would like a motion to set that if you are in agreement.
Madam Chair, I'll make that motion to accept
Changes in January
the
and
county
December.
board calendar for 2024.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Lubke. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Barrows. All those in favor?
Commissioner Lubke?
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows?
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag?
Aye.
Commissioner Coring?
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine?
Aye.
Madam Chair, that doesn't obligate us to hold a meeting on those days, but it advertises that we're planning to. Madam Chair, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about any of that business or anything related to county government. I do have one other item.
Is there any additional business? Many of us?
Madam Chair, we have another new employee introduction that we should do. I'm going to ask Amy to come forward and do an introduction of her new employee who just started yesterday with us.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I'm excited that we are now at full staff in HR. Krista Hesse has joined us. She started yesterday, and she comes to us from the St. Peter area with a background in HR and working with an assisted living facility down in St. Peter. And I'll let her say a little bit more about herself, too.
Morning.
Yes, today is my second day. I'm very excited to be here. I got to meet some of the senior leadership team yesterday, and I'm excited to round out your team and learn about Crow Wing County. So moving up north, as I told the rest of our team.
Well, thank you so much.
Yep, thank you for being here.
We're thrilled to be back at full staff in HR. It's been a while.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Jim, did you have something?
It had to do with this. I was just curious. It's maybe a curiosity question. Should the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting, which is held always that first Tuesday of March, be part of this calendar?
Yes, it should be, or it's a special meeting.
Okay, so I
Oh, we
got it a
can
little bit
still
too
add
late,
it.
but.
No, we can still add it. It's not
Okay.
too late. We haven't started the year. And so what date is it?
It is going to be March 5th this year. So it's the off-board meeting, first Tuesday of
Always the
March
first
normally.
Tuesday in March.
Madam Chair, I'd like a motion to include that on the calendar, if you would.
Could we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to include March 5th for the TAC meeting this year in 2024.
Is there a second?
Paul,
Second.
second.
Oh,
or
Paul,
Commissioner
okay.
Warren.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Coring. All those in favor?
Just pick one.
Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag. Commissioner Coring.
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye.
Commissioner Franzine.
Aye.
Madam Chair, nobody else probably notices, but Teresa's rotating which of you she calls first.
Yes, we
And
noticed.
that way,
Yeah, you-
it is random who gets the last vote. And so she's trying to remember, who did I ask first last time? Happy to answer any questions about anything on the agenda or anything else related to county government.
Madam Chair, just one other thing, if I may.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I see Clayton is still sitting there. I just want to let Clayton know that I do serve on Crow Wing Power's Board of Directors, and I did give your name and information to Crow Wing Power. They're looking forward to working closely with you. As you know, when the big storms come and in your position, you'll be able to keep track of those and get reimbursement, hopefully either state dollars or federal dollars for Crow Wing Power and other utilities. That is a great help for the citizens of Crow Wing County. Otherwise, it becomes a burden on them. So I did give your information to them and look forward to you doing a great job for Crow Wing County and Crow Wing Power. Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Just wanted to add that last week I sat down with Air Quality for about an hour in Crow Wing Power, and we had a wonderful discussion, and look forward to future dialogue with him. And again, knock on wood, we don't have to work too much together in the future, but again, we want to be prepared if that comes across. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Clayton.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else?
So do we want to add?
Madam Chair, if there's nothing else, I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Hold 1 second.
Motion by Commissioner Barrows, second by Commissioner Hoag. All
Okay.
those in favor?
You got a roll call that.
Sorry, Barrows, Hoag.
Barrows and Hoag.
And I just want to remind the board that the next meeting is a night meeting on December 12th because of the truth in taxation, so it will begin at 5 for
Okay.
all of those that are, sorry, Paul, Paul was on the screen the whole time. Now we're back. So just to let you guys know that. And sorry to interrupt you, that's a non-debatable, but that's just for information, so.
Do we need to have an all in favor, or do we have to roll?
no,
We still have to roll call,
Coring,
don't we?
Commissioner Coring.
Aye.
Commissioner Lubke.
Aye.
Commissioner Barrows.
Aye.
Commissioner Hoag. Commissioner Franzine.
Aye, motion carries. We're adjourned.
Boy, they're keeping you busy, aren't they?